Did you know that Alaska, the largest state in the US, was once not part of the country at all? Spanning over 600,000 square miles, Alaska is a treasure trove of natural resources, from vast oil reserves to abundant wildlife. Yet, at the time of its purchase in 1867, many viewed it as nothing more than a frozen wilderness. This misconception led to the nickname Seward's Folly, mocking Secretary of State William H. Seward's decision to buy it. So why did Russia decide to sell this vast and resource-rich land? Let's dive into the history. Before it was an American state, Alaska was known as Russian America. In the mid-17th century, the vast and icy expanse of Alaska was largely uncharted by Europeans until Russian explorers pushed eastward. The allure was primarily the region's abundant fur-bearing animals, especially sea otters, whose pelts were highly prized in the fashion capitals of Europe and China. This lucrative fur trade spurred the establishment of Russian settlements along the Alaskan coast. By the mid-18th century, Russia had established a foothold in North America, with bustling outposts such as Sitka becoming centers of fur trade. These settlements attracted a mix of adventurers, merchants, and fur traders, all looking to capitalize on the wealth of the natural resources. The Russian Orthodox Church also played a significant role, with missionaries coming to Alaska to spread Christianity among the indigenous populations. However, despite these initial investments and the apparent economic benefits, the Russian presence in Alaska faced numerous challenges. Harsh climates, remote geography, and logistic difficulties made it hard to maintain and profit from these distant territories. Yet despite its initial promise, Russian America was not destined to last. By the mid-19th century, Russia's enthusiasm for its distant colony began to wane. The vastness of Alaska, while initially alluring due to its abundant resources, soon presented insurmountable logistical nightmares. Maintaining such a remote territory was not only complex, but also immensely costly. The harsh and unpredictable Arctic weather compounded these difficulties, disrupting supply routes and making life exceedingly harsh for settlers and traders alike. As the allure of the fur trade diminished, the economic justification for holding on to Alaska weakened. The once lucrative fur resources were nearing depletion, and the competition, particularly from the British and nearby Canada, intensified. This competition threatened not just the economic but also the strategic foothold Russia had in North America. Moreover, the administrative burden of managing Alaska from thousands of miles away in St. Petersburg drained resources and attention from more pressing domestic issues within the Russian Empire. Faced with these mounting challenges, Russia had to make a strategic decision. In the game of global politics, Alaska became a pawn. The mid-19th century was a time of intense imperial rivalry, and the vast icy expanse of Alaska sat precariously between two great powers, Russia and the British Empire. Russia, stretched thin and financially strapped, was acutely aware that it might not be able to defend this remote territory should conflict arise with Britain, whose naval capabilities were unmatched. The fears were not unfounded. The British had established a strong presence in nearby Canada, and the Russian America was isolated, hard to reach from the mainland of Russia. The daunting prospect of defending Alaska against a potential British attack posed a strategic headache for Russia. The concern was that Alaska, if attacked, would be nearly impossible to defend effectively and would be lost without any compensation for the Russian Empire. Thus, the decision to sell Alaska wasn't merely a financial calculation, it was a strategic retreat. Selling Alaska seemed like a prudent way to avoid loss and gain some financial benefit. Across the ocean, the United States had its own designs on Alaska. As the young nation stretched its limbs westward, the fervor of manifest destiny pulsed through its veins, instilling a belief that expansion across the North American continent was both justified and inevitable. This philosophy wasn't just about spreading territory, it was about spreading ideals. Into this milieu stepped William Seward, the Secretary of State under President Andrew Johnson. Seward was not just a politician. He was a visionary who saw beyond the immediate. He believed that Alaska could serve as a gateway for American commerce and influence to extend into the Pacific, and perhaps even Asia. Negotiations were not merely transactions, but a ballet of diplomacy and foresight. Seward engaged with the Russian envoy, Baron Eduard de Stokel, navigating through complex dialogues and international interests. The dance was intricate, with each step calculated to secure what Seward believed was a jewel for the future of America. For America, acquiring Alaska offered both strategic advantages and new territories for expansion. On March 30, 1867, a deal was struck that would reshape the map of North America. In the dim light of a gaslit room, American and Russian diplomats leaned over maps and documents, negotiating a transaction that would seem almost unimaginable. Russia was set to sell Alaska to the United States. The final handshake confirmed a purchase price of $7.2 million, a sum that today might seem modest, but at the time represented a significant investment. Critics of the deal labeled it Seward's folly, after Secretary of State William H. Seward, who was a major proponent of the acquisition. Detractors believed the territory was nothing more than a frozen wasteland, hardly worth the financial outlay. However, some contemporaries saw beyond the ice. They envisioned strategic military positioning against potential threats and abundant natural resources, including fur and later, gold. This vision of Alaska's potential slowly turned the tide of public perception. Though ridiculed by some at the time, the deal was a clear indication of America's growing ambitions. With the stroke of a pen, Alaska changed hands. But what followed? In the wake of the Alaska Purchase, the United States faced considerable challenges. Initially, American governance seemed unprepared for the remote and rugged territory. The vast landscape was perceived as more of a burden than an asset, with minimal infrastructure and a scant non-native population. The harsh climate and geographical isolation only compounded the difficulties. However, the narrative began to shift with the shimmering allure of gold. In the late 19th century, word of gold deposits transformed Alaska almost overnight. The Klondike Gold Rush, followed by numerous others, ushered in a flood of prospectors, adventurers, and fortune seekers. These gold rushes were pivotal, not only populating the region, but also establishing a robust economic foundation. Significantly, these events vindicated those visionaries who had advocated for the purchase, recognizing potential where others saw only ice and rock. The gold rushes proved to be merely the beginning. Alaska's vast resources, once seen as barren and worthless, became key to its identity. More than just a land deal, the purchase of Alaska has deep historical implications. When the United States acquired Alaska from Russia in 1867, few could have predicted the profound impact this vast territory would have on the nation's future. The strategic benefits of Alaska first became evident during World War II. Its geographical position provided an invaluable vantage point for the U.S. military, serving as a critical refueling stop for air transport and an early warning outpost against potential threats across the Pacific. This strategic importance only escalated during the Cold War, with Alaska becoming a first line of defense in the icy tensions between the superpowers. But the value of Alaska extends beyond military might. The discovery of oil at Prudhoe Bay in 1968 revolutionized the American energy landscape. This monumental find led to the construction of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, which has since pumped billions of barrels of oil, fueling economic growth and significantly reducing energy dependence. Alaska has proven itself to be far from the folly many once believed. What can the tale of Alaska's purchase teach us about history? As we delve into the dramatic narrative of Alaska's acquisition, it becomes evident that history is not just a series of events, but a canvas painted by the visions and decisions of leadership. The foresight shown by the United States in recognizing Alaska's potential underscores the importance of vision in leadership. Often, what appears to be an inconspicuous decision can unravel into a future of immense possibility. Equally crucial is the role of timing in decision-making. Russia's choice to sell Alaska, driven by financial distress and geopolitical pressures, was as much about the timing as it was about the decision itself. This teaches us that the context and timing of decisions can be just as influential as the decisions themselves. Moreover, the initial misunderstanding of Alaska's value reminds us that history often takes time to reveal the true significance of events. What was once mocked as Seward's folly is now seen as a strategic masterstroke. History often reserves judgment, revealing the full impact of decisions only with time. From Russian colony to a pivotal state in the Union, Alaska's journey is a testament to the unpredictable nature of history. Russia's decision to sell Alaska was influenced by economic difficulties and geopolitical strategy, recognizing the impracticality of defending such a remote territory. For the United States, acquiring Alaska expanded its territory and resource base, an action whose value only became fully apparent with the discovery of gold and oil. This transaction reminds us how historical narratives evolve, shaped by decisions that once seemed inconsequential. Next time you think of Alaska, remember the complex history that shaped its path. Thank you for joining us on this historical exploration.